Wednesday. I am here today to share a new video and I'm gonna get right to it. So a couple weeks ago, I shared a video on the things that are hard about being a stay-at-home mom. And so I created another video, but y'all, I have no space on my phone. So I was trying to save it and it kept saying you have no space. So I have finally figured out how to save it on my phone. And I just wanted to share with you all my top 5 reasons that I love being a stay-at-home mom. Of course, like I said in the previous video, there are definitely hard things about it. But my most favorite things are the ability to be helpful, the ability to have flexibility, to be a support for my husband, to be my kids' first teacher, and to be a safe space for other friends' kids. So I'll start with the flexibility. That's the one I'll start with. So I love the flexibility that being a stay-at-home mom brings me. It is just like, just this summer, my husband was like, I have a work trip in Florida. Y'all want to go? And I'm like, yes. So it's just incredible to be able to have that flexibility where I don't have to ask anybody for PTO. I don't have to ask and get a no. And that was, I'll give you a little background about our move to Chicago. So my husband moved to Chicago 2014 and he moved, and it was right before Ava's first birthday. We went there for a Beyonce concert, and I felt like it was Beyonce telling me, okay, y'all are gonna go to Chicago. But I wasn't hearing her. So he moves to Chicago, and he leaves us in Chattanooga. Because I love my job, right? Ava had been in daycare, my mom's daycare, since she was 6 weeks. And it was great. I love my job. She's with her Mimi. She's learning. She's safe. It's great. Everything is going great. And then he interviews and gets a job in Chicago, like, So I thought of the genius idea of doing a long distance marriage because I did not want to go to Chicago. I wanted to stay where it was safe, where it was warm, where I knew my surroundings, and I had never lived anywhere else outside of Tennessee. So, I mean, we lived in Georgia for a little bit when I was younger, but never been outside of Tennessee for a long time. So it was just kind of different. That's so far from my norm. But when I tell you, we tried it. We tried a long distance marriage. So I was only seeing him like twice a month on the weekends, and it was so hard. So I finally was like, okay, this isn't working. And I feel like God has a way of, when you're trying to tell him what you're gonna do, he kind of makes things kind of shaky. Like, you're not doing that. That's not how it's gonna work. So I kept on getting these, like, running into issues with my job. And again, I love my job. I love what I did. I was even like training people, and it's just like, it brought me joy. But I asked them about taking a day off when my daughter was sick. They said no. I'm like, she's sick though. Like, it's my baby, she's sick. And they're like, no, we need you. It was seasonal. Like, we need you, blah, blah, blah. Then my granddad was retiring, and I didn't need the whole day off, y'all. I needed about an hour and a half. So at the end of the day, the hour and a half off. You know, they told me no again. And I was like, okay, God, you're making this really uncomfortable. And I think that was his way of pushing me out the door, because to me, this particular company and a lot of companies do not care about what you have going on outside of what they want you to do. And so again, the flexibility to be able to go when I want to go, when my husband needs me to go, when my kids want to go, is just amazing to me. So yeah, I love the flexibility. I value it so much, because there are days, just yesterday, my baby boy was sick. I had to pick him up from school the other day. Then he was sick today. Today they have a half a day. Tomorrow they have a half a day. I don't feel like there's a job out there that would be like, oh yeah, take off that day and that day. You know, so I love the flexibility of being a stay-at-home mom. The second thing, I love being helpful. So I'm an Enneagram 2. I don't know if I just learned about Enneagrams. So if you know about Enneagrams, please talk in the comments about it. I'm still learning and researching more, but I do know that I am an Enneagram 2. And with that, I love being a helper. I love helping. I love being like supportive to other people. It's just something that I love. It makes me happy. So sometimes people are like, you need to relax, you need to do this. But I'm like, but I really love helping. Like, I don't do it for attention. I don't do it for recognition. It really brings me joy to be helpful. Like, whether it's cooking a meal, whether it's helping you with a chore, whether it's picking up something for you, it fills my cup to be helpful. So that's another thing that I love about being a stay-at-home mom. I get to help so many people. Whether it's going to the school, helping the teachers, I help out a lot in the media center. I get to help other moms who are like, hey, I'm at work, can you grab this for me? It just makes me happy. I'm a big helper to my husband. If he needs doctor's appointments, he's working, I need to go and grab my kids, he can't take off. It's just, I love being helpful. I've had friends when I was in Chicago, I had friends who I would watch their kids for them while they went to work. And I just love that. Like, I love being helpful. So that's the second thing I love. So the first thing is flexibility. The second thing is being helpful. The third thing is being my kids' first teacher. I value that so much. So Ava went to daycare when she was 6 weeks. And when I say I had to go back to work with a cesarean in 6 weeks, it was tough. It was rough. Like, everything hurt. Like, my body hurt. But I feel like the hardest thing was like my heart was hurting. And I'm not going to get emotional. Okay. But my heart hurted because I felt like I was supposed to be with my baby. Like, she's only 6 weeks and I'm leaving her. And I'm gone she's not seeing me for 9 hours. Like, she just came out of me and I'm gone for 8 to 10 hours. Because, you drop her off early, you do the drive to commute to work. And then I do an hour drive back home. And then by the time I get to her, it's time for a nursing session and time to go to bed. And so that was really hard for me. Okay, that was really hard for me because I really remember walking up the steps at work and being like, what am I doing here? I was missing so many moments with her. I was spending my lunch breaks and my 15-minute breaks pumping, and I would just look at pictures of her, get videos from my mom of her, and I was just like crying. So I already had the pain from the cesarean, the pain from engorgement, and then just the pain in my heart from like just missing my baby because it had only been 6 weeks. So I really was not able to become a stay-at-home mom until she was 15 months. So her first birthday, again, she had got sick in December and they wouldn't let me take off. And I just remember crying like, my baby is sick. She went from having the flu to having RSV, and it was just so much pain. And again, she was safe. She was with my mom, my grandma. It was just, she wasn't with me. And so I just carried that. But when I was finally able to be a stay-at-home mom when she turned 15 months, it was incredible. I remember feeling like I didn't know what I was doing because I wasn't with her all day. But a shift just happened. I started to trust myself more, and I was like, I didn't do well in school growing up. I want to help my baby with that now. And she was 15 months and we were doing ABCs. We would do numbers. And again, we're just switching from 2 incomes to 1 income now. How am I supposed to teach my baby? I just started making stuff. I would find flashcards. I would use construction paper and make the letters and tape them all over the house. I was using Post-it notes, just things that I had around. And I was teaching my baby. I would cut construction paper into shapes and we would jump from each shape. I would tape things to the wall, and it was just, I'm like, I'm doing this. And my baby was reading. She was 3 and knowing her sight words. She knew her shapes and her letters, and I was like, wow, God. I was training at a company that didn't even want to let me off work for special occasions or a sick baby. And I have a gift, I have a talent to teach. Why not pour it into my babies? And it went from there. And I had Mason next in 2016 and then Cameron in 2018. And I have just loved teaching my babies. Ava and Mason both have been tested for gifted. And this is no like, oh, I'm bragging, I'm just such this great person. But it's been so amazing to be their first teacher. To be the first person that they learn from. And once they go to school, they're going to learn so much more. They're going to learn from the other students around them, which in some ways is good, but in some ways, I mean, there are things they've came home, even just last week, Mason came home and he's like, Mommy, sometimes when people talk about nuts, they're not just talking about nuts like the squirrels eat. And I was like, huh? And of course, you know where that went. So we had this talk. But it's just something that they learn when they go off. But since I'm their first teacher, I feel like they come to me and they talk to me about stuff like that. Because they're like, Mommy's my teacher. Let me go talk to her about this and she can explain it. So we talked about that and just went over how it's inappropriate. There is a name, but it's just not appropriate. And I get to teach my babies about Jesus, and that was so important to me. Like, I grew up with a good foundation of Christ and how important Christ is, and it used to be so cute. My Ava learned Psalm 23, and she would march around the house saying Psalm 23. We learned Christian songs that sung John 3:16, and it was just beautiful. And so, again, I love being my little one's first teacher, and that was my third thing that I love about being a stay-at-home mom. So one more time, the first thing is being flexible. The second thing is being helpful. The third thing is being my baby's first teacher. The fourth thing is being a helpmate to my husband. My husband travels for work a lot of times, and so some days he'll be gone for a week, some days he's gone for 3 days, some days he's gone like in between, and it varies. He's been gone for up to 2 weeks at a time, and I love being able to be helpful to him because he doesn't have to worry about, oh my gosh, who's gonna watch the kids if I'm not there, who is gonna take care of this. He knows that the bills are gonna get paid. He knows that the money he brings in is going to be used correctly. He doesn't have to worry about making his doctor's appointments or scheduling different appointments that he may have. He doesn't have to worry about who's going to mail this, who's going to get the birthday cards, because y'all know me, do not be remembering to get birthday cards. So it's just being helpful to him is just so, again, makes me happy, because all he does to keep our family afloat is just so priceless. And so if I can do anything to like take a load off of him, it makes me happy. He doesn't have to worry about who's going to make him a healthy meal. He doesn't have to worry about things like, if I do have to go somewhere, I'm going to leave food, or I'm going to have the sheets changed. If there's a sick baby, he doesn't have to worry about taking off. And when we both worked, when Ava was little, we did have that constant battle of, no, you take off this time. No, I want to take off. Because, of course, we both want to move up the ladder. We both want to be good employees. So it was really hard trying to balance who's going to take off and who's not. So now I just get to be a helpmate, and it just makes me so happy to be helpful to him. So that's the fourth thing. So the first thing, again, is being flexible. Second thing is being helpful. The third thing is being my baby's first teacher. The fourth thing is being helpful to my husband. And the fifth thing is being a safe place for other friends and their kids. So again, I watched my friends' kids when I was in Chicago, and it was great because there are times when you can put kids in daycare and they're not being taken care of. They're not being fed properly. They are getting talked mean to. And I know without a shadow of doubt, when anyone's baby is in my care, they're going to be loved. They're going to be taken care of. They're going to be taught. They're going to be seen and heard and hugged. And so I'm just like, okay, they're safe here. so I can be like a safe haven when their parents are not available. And not just not available, but like they're just at work for a couple hours. So I love that. I love when a friend says, "Hey, can you watch my little one for a little bit?" I saw a recent TikTok and they were like, "Don't ask me to watch your kids. Please ask me to watch your kids." It makes me happy because I don't want anybody leaving their babies at home. And, there are times when people leave them with uncles and cousins and they're not always safe. And I'll talk more about that, but it's not always safe. So, but I know when babies are in my care, and I'm not gonna cry again. Oh my gosh. I like when kids can be here and they can feel safe. So even if it's like if a mom needs to go to the grocery store or run to get Christmas shopping done, I love being able to be a safe place for their kids. So there's so much to love about it. And again, there are definitely hard days. There are tough days. And I struggle sometimes with not being taken advantage of. But I really, really value this role. I feel like God is doing a work in me. And I feel like He called me for this. He is working on me and working through me. He trusted me with this role. I felt like I do so much for, when I was working, I did so much for a company that did not value me, where now I'm at home with my babies, with my husband, and it's really, really valuable. My husband constantly tells me how much he values the role that I play in our family, and it just means so much to me. So those are my 5 things that I love about being a stay-at-home mom. I have another video coming up soon with how I balance it all. And not balance it all well. I am still working on it because I have only been a stay-at-home mom since 2014. And it has definitely been a journey. So I cannot wait to see you next week. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Remember, you got this, mama. Have a good day.